It's really starting to scare me how much Thomas Jane actually looks like Christopher Lambert from Highlander. I'm just wondering when the hell are they going to give him a call for the remake. But this is not about Highlander. This is about The Expanse. And stay tuned for the review. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube? I'm Chris Smith. I got the hat, I got the shirt, and I got a review. Now, this is the second one of the day, so brace yourself. This one might actually be quite well. Now, we're talking about today a show that just debuted. Now, if you haven't seen it, it's already online. Go ahead, watch it ahead of the premiere tonight. Now, we're talking about The Expanse. Now, I was actually interested in The Expanse, which premieres on Sci-Fi tonight. I was interested in it because I'm a sci-fi guy. I like my sci-fi. I like a new thing. Now, sci-fi's been trying to get these, sci-fi shows kind of back to where they used to be, at the peak of the peak, like back in like 04 or whatever. Now, granted, they just canceled Defiance. Sadly, if anybody didn't know, they canceled it. I liked the Defiance. They had, the bounty hunter shows, whatever. I kind of didn't really care. I thought Ascension actually had some promise, but they kind of said it was only just like a 3-week thing, and then they kind of killed it. But we're talking about The Expanse here, and now sci-fi is trying to bring back the sci-fi genre, or at least the dark, gritty sci-fi genre, and that's okay. I like gritty sci-fi, but I like my flashy sci-fi. Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, The Expanse pretty much, it kicks off with, this girl named Julie. She's escaping this abandoned spaceport or spaceship or whatever, and then we realize that she opens the hatch and she's just, in full overblown space. There's nothing there, whatever. And then we kind of cut to this preacher guy, right? And this is kind of where a bit of a negative comes in, because I didn't know exactly what to expect. But this preacher guy kind of is like talking about, about like hatred and how we can rise up or whatever. And you expect this preacher guy to kind of be black or African or a darker skin tone, the way the voices come in. And then he's like a white guy with tattoos that look like he's supposed to be on, an ink show, whatever it may be. But that's not the point, right? So we get our main character, which is played by Thomas Jane. He plays Detective Miller. He's a bit of a hard-boiled cop, a bit of a drug addict, it looks like. He's got a mysterious past, it seems. We haven't fully got to know this guy in this episode, nor have we really got to know anybody. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is premiere. So what I liked about Thomas Jane pretty much was that, as I said, it was a bit of a hardboiled 1950s noirish detective in a bit of a sci-fi world. So that adds a bit of a meshing flavor, which I kind of really like. Thomas Jane, I like Thomas Jane as an actor. Deep Blue Sea's great. The Punisher's great. It's good to kind of see him doing something else. Outside of, just kind of be known as a Punisher. Does he look like shit? Yes. As I said in my intro, if you probably will see, he does look like Christopher Lambert and, from Highlander, which is kind of striking, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but hey, whatever. But he's great in the thing. I really enjoyed his character, even though he does look a little bit tipsy, and maybe that's the whole point, but hey, he looks like he gets the job done. Now, the story is mainly about trying to find this girl at the very beginning named Julie. Now, once Tom Jane has a new partner played by Jay Hernandez, they kind of go back to the police station. The police officer or his chief or whatever says, all right, I'm going to give you an assignment, leave your partner outside of there, and then, we need you to look into this missing girl report. Why are we looking for this missing girl? She doesn't really actually tell Miller, but for some reason, he does it anyway, I guess, because he's like, hey, why not? It's not like I got anything else to do. If you know some of these detectives in these, old school movies, the job is their life. So I guess that's why he just kind of accepted it without any, reprimand or thinking about it, whatever. But yeah, so it's interesting to see how or what the girl is for, why we're looking for her, how she's important. But you see that he's a bit obsessive for the case. He's looking at, files and a video over and over and over. So that just kind of adds a bit thing. Then we go to our second story, or our second hero, if you want to call him that, played by Stephen Strait. Now, Stephen Strait, if you don't know him, he's a bit of a fashion model or singer or whatever it is. But I'm glad Stephen Strait, if you actually remember this, I'm glad Stephen Strait actually managed to get above and find something good after The Covenant. Now, The Covenant, if you don't know, is a shitty movie. It's just like one giant Abercrombie commercial for 2 hours. But it's a shitty movie. But I'm glad he actually managed to find something. And he's good in this role. They added a beard to make him look rugged and less like a model type. But his character is interesting. He's a bit of a reluctant hero. He's a part of this kind of contraband ship. It's kind of like a Firefly thing, where they kind of smugglers and whatnot. So while they're doing their run, smuggling ice, I believe, or whatever it is, they, kind of run across this distress beacon, and this distress beacon, obviously they're not necessarily legal. So if they get caught, they will get bombed. That's just kind of like this thing. You know, the solar system, that I said, they're in colonies. If you know anything about the 13 colonies, it's kind of like that. You know, you trespass on that land, then, you know, you're out of there. It's pretty much. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, his ship is about smugglers and whatnot. So they get a distress call. They're not supposed to answer any distress calls, because if they do, then somebody else can answer it, and then they can find them. And then obviously they're operating illegally out there, so then they can actually have a reason to kill them. So they answer the distress call. Holden answered it. He's not supposed to, but for some reason he does, because he wants to be a good guy. But he doesn't necessarily even want to be the head captain of the ship, because he believes that's not his bag. But eventually he will get that hero role, or the leader type of role, kind of thrown upon him, just kind of forcefully, either way. So they answer the distress call, and then eventually, you know, they're looking, they're seeing that, you know, there's a transmitter, the comms are down. You know, how are they going to send the distress beacon without any, like, power, really? So him and his crew, certain crew members, they go on the shuttle, they leave the main ship, they go looking for this distress signal, or the girl. They don't know yet who it is, but they start looking. It's an empty ship, so they start looking and whatnot, and then eventually, you know, back at the main ship, his captain is telling him, you know, get out of there. You know, there's another ship looking for you. But what happens is that it's his main ship, you know, with his girlfriend and whatnot. They all get bombed and all that. So, you know, eventually, yeah, they kind of get all killed. There's a bit of a message between him and his girlfriend. They say that, she says, you know, there's something I have to tell you. You could kind of already tell when he's, like, talking to her what she's about to say. Pretty much she was most likely pregnant. She probably had his kid, you know, or obviously had, but now she was probably most likely had his kid. But obviously now she is dead, because they bombed it, because they weren't supposed to be operating out there. He's a bit angry, and that's kind of how we ended the thing. Now, I'm going to be talking about some other things, but that's kind of how we ended it. Now, it reminded me of Star Trek with Kirk's mom at the opening 9 minutes, where, you know, she was pregnant. Kirk's dad had to pretty much save, you know, the spaceship and whatnot just before they blew up, and he realized it was a boy. That's pretty much what that reminded me of. So is that a bit of a cliche thing? Yeah, sure. But I think it adds a bit of an emotional thing, at least to the character. Because if you didn't care about the character before, you may actually care about him now, because now, you know, whoever did it, you know, whoever bombed it up, which I think was supposed to be some government and whatnot. Like, the United Nations is operating on one whole planet. So, you know, whatever. But so let's talk about the cast members. That was said. Stephen Strait, he's great in it. I didn't think I'd be saying that. Tom Jane, I like. You know, some of his crew members. The guy from Roy Paines, he's in here once again playing the comic relief. Maybe he should try to do something else, but he's good at the comic relief, so we'll leave him. Positives on this thing. I like the world, right? And granted, the world does look a little cheap. It looks kind of like Minority Report, you know, the budgets or whatnot, but who knows? You know, it may just change once they kind of broaden the world. But a sci-fi show will, you know, fail or survive depending on the world. If you can believe in the world, if they set up the world to the point where you can actually believe it, you will actually stay on board, I would say. The plot is interesting. There's a mystery going involved, and they show in the upcoming weeks that, you know, whoever this girl is, she plays an important part to somebody looking for her. They don't want anybody looking for this girl. That's most likely, I believe, why they bombed Holden's, you know, crew, most likely. So him and the people that went in the shuttle, they're alive, but, you know, yeah. So they have to kind of figure out where they're at. They're only operating in the shuttle, so that doesn't really do much. But yeah, a show can make or break when it comes to their premise and their world. If a sci-fi world is built up and you believe in that world, then they succeeded. It's kind of like Defiance. I believed in that world of stories. Defiance kind of went down as time went along, but, you know, that is what it is. Also, this show's a mixture between, I believe, to me, Firefly and Battlestar Galactica. More so Battlestar Galactica. Mainly because, you know, it has kind of like that look, kind of like a gritty thing, you know, deals with politicking. But at the same time, it kind of deals with courage and heroism and humanity. Just like kind of Battlestar Galactica. So it definitely seemed like they were inspired by Battlestar. The smuggling aspect, kind of like the Reluctant Heroes, are kind of like Firefly. So yeah, it seems like sci-fi is trying to get back in the game. If they get back in the game, then bring it. Because this seems like this is a big step, you know. It has a mystery, right? And that's a good thing, you know. It has a bit of the politicalness, you know. It has a bit of, you know, some conspiracy theories, and it has a mystery. And a good mystery is always great, right? As I said for Ascension for sci-fi when they aired it, I think last year, they had the mystery and then they revealed it. So it kind of made the show kind of fall on his ass, even if there was a potential for another season or whatever. But this seems like they have a good mystery, and hopefully it continues, and let's not let it fall down the paths of certain sci-fi shows. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I enjoyed it. What will episode 2 in store? I don't know, but I am intrigued. The world is good. Also, just a quick side note, they played the Black Keys song. I believe it was Tighten Up, and that was just, I say positive for the Black Keys song, but a negative for that shitty ass cover of the Black Keys song. Black Keys are awesome. Don't ruin it with a shitty cover, but that's just a slight negative. It wasn't too many negatives. I didn't like the look also of the thing. That was about it. Other than that, I like the characters. That British chick on Holden's Group, she's hot, so that's a plus. But yeah, it seems like it's an interesting show, and I'm willing to see where it goes. What is this conspiracy theory? Who knows? Why are they looking for this girl? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out once again. But yes, that is my review of The Expanse. That's 2 in one day. I don't think I'll be doing the third one, but if I do, don't hold it against me. Now, this has been Chris Smith. Comment, subscribe, like that shit, and I'm signing out.